Last week, Malaysia faced a crisis. Temperatures soared to 37 degrees Celsius. 2 lives were lost. 56 people fell ill from the heat. Tourists were warned to stay indoors. The media predicted disaster for our tourism industry. But then something happened that nobody expected. While other countries panicked, Malaysia did the impossible. We turned a crisis into our greatest victory. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you will feel something you haven't felt in a long time.
Pure Malaysian pride.
And before we go any further, if you love stories about Malaysia winning against all odds, hit that subscribe button right now. I don't want you to miss what comes next in this story. Trust me, the ending will shock you. Now let me tell you what really happened. On May 3, 2026, the Malaysian Health Ministry released a report that made everyone nervous. Since the start of the year, Malaysia had recorded 56 cases of heat-related illnesses. 2 of them were deaths. One was a 2-year-old child left inside a vehicle. The other was a 42-year-old man who collapsed after running a marathon on Penang Island. The Health Ministry revealed that 58% of these cases were linked to physical activity during hot weather. Nearly half involved sports and athletic activities like cross-country running, sports training, and marathons. Temperatures in tourism hotspots like Penang Island reached 37 degrees Celsius. The government issued nationwide heatwave alerts. Authorities urged tourists to stay hydrated and avoid the midday sun. The international news picked up the story. Headlines warned travelers to be careful in Malaysia. And everyone expected our tourism numbers to crash. But here is where the story takes a turn that shocked the world. The very same week that the heatwave dominated headlines, Malaysia released its first quarter tourism figures for 2026. And what those numbers showed was nothing short of miraculous. Malaysia received 10.6 million tourists in the first quarter of 2026. That is a 5% increase year-on-year. Let me say that again. 10.6 million tourists in just 3 months. In the middle of a heat wave. With 2 deaths reported. With warnings issued. And we still grew. But here is what makes me truly proud. That number made Malaysia the most visited country in all of Southeast Asia for the first quarter of 2026. We beat Thailand. We beat Vietnam. We beat Singapore. We beat Indonesia. We beat everyone. Let me put this in perspective for you. For years, Thailand was the undisputed king of Southeast Asian tourism. Everyone talked about Phuket. Everyone talked about Bangkok. Everyone talked about Chiang Mai. But in the first quarter of 2026, while Thailand was still recovering, Malaysia quietly stole the crown. Tourism Minister Tayong King Sing revealed that from March 1 to March 26 alone Malaysia recorded 2,835,724 international tourist arrivals. That is a 2.4% increase compared to the same period in 2025. The ASEAN market remained our largest source region with over 2 million arrivals. The East Asian market grew by nearly 13% year-on-year. And here is the number that should make every Malaysian stand up and cheer. Chinese tourist arrivals grew by 22.7%. 22.7%. In the middle of a heat wave. While other countries struggled to attract visitors, China was sending more and more tourists to Malaysia. Now I want you to understand what makes this achievement so special. Vietnam, which has been growing rapidly as a tourism destination, recorded 6.76 million international arrivals in the first quarter of 2026. That is a 12% increase year-on-year. Very respectable. Very strong. But still 3.8 million visitors behind Malaysia. Vietnam set a record for its first quarter performance. And yet Malaysia still beat them. Thailand reported 9.31 million international arrivals in the first quarter of 2026. That is nearly 3 times Malaysia's March numbers. On the surface, it looks like Thailand is still ahead. But here is what the news won't tell you. Thailand's numbers include the entire first quarter from January to March. Malaysia's 10.6 million figure is also for the entire first quarter. And that figure includes January and February when the heatwave was not even at its peak. In March alone, when the heatwave was at its worst, Malaysia still grew by 2.4%. Compare that to Thailand, which has announced a shift in strategy from chasing volume to chasing quality. Thailand is now focusing on higher spending, longer staying tourists. Which is a polite way of saying they cannot keep up with Malaysia's volume anymore. But the heatwave story does not end with tourism numbers. There is another layer to this story that will make you incredibly proud. Remember the 42-year-old man who died after the marathon on Penang Island? That tragedy could have destroyed Penang's reputation as a tourism destination. But here is what happened instead. The health ministry stepped up. They issued clear guidelines. They told the public to limit strenuous physical activity during hot weather. They advised people to take more breaks in the shade. They reminded everyone to drink plenty of water even when not thirsty. They told people to wear hats, use umbrellas, and wear light-colored clothes. They gave specific warnings to parents to never leave children alone in vehicles. They listed the symptoms of heat-related illness: dizziness, nausea, muscle cramps, extreme fatigue. And they told everyone to seek medical help immediately if they experienced any of these symptoms. This was not a government hiding from a crisis. This was a government confronting a crisis head-on. This was Malaysia showing the world that we protect our people and our visitors. And here is the part that the international media completely missed. When Vietnam and Thailand issued their own heatwave warnings around the same time, they simply told tourists to be careful. Malaysia did something different. Malaysia turned the crisis into a story of resilience. While other countries were worried about losing tourists, Malaysia was gaining them. Let me ask you a question. In the middle of a heatwave, why would 10.6 million tourists choose Malaysia over Thailand, Vietnam, or Singapore? The answer is simple. Because Malaysia offers what no other country in Southeast Asia can offer. We have the perfect combination of affordability, accessibility, and diversity. Tourists can come to Malaysia and experience modern cities, ancient rainforests, pristine islands, and cultural heritage all in one trip. Thailand has beaches. Vietnam has rice terraces. Singapore has luxury shopping. But only Malaysia has everything. And even a heatwave cannot change that. Let me share something with you that the official reports do not mention. While the heatwave was happening, Malaysia was quietly preparing for the biggest tourism year in our history. Visit Malaysia 2026 is not just a slogan. It is a strategy. And the first quarter numbers prove that the strategy is working. 10.6 million tourists in 3 months. That puts Malaysia on track to beat the 42 million visitors we received in all of 2025. Let me do the math for you. If we maintain this pace for the rest of the year, Malaysia could reach over 40 million tourists again in 2026. That would make us the undisputed leader in Southeast Asian tourism for the second year in a row. And we achieved this during a heat wave. Imagine what we will achieve when the weather cools down. There is another detail in this story that the news did not highlight. The East Asian market grew by nearly 13%. The Chinese market grew by 22.7%. But here is what makes this especially meaningful. This growth happened despite geopolitical tensions in the Middle East that affected other markets. Tourism Minister Taiyong King Sing confirmed that Middle East arrivals dropped by over 40% due to the ongoing situation. But Malaysia did not panic. We did not make excuses. We pivoted. We focused on East Asia. We focused on Europe, which grew by 5.2%. We focused on Oceania, which grew by 20.2%. We focused on Central Asia, which grew by 21%. While one market closed, 3 others opened wider. That is not luck. That is strategy. That is Malaysia thinking ahead. Now I want you to imagine the scene on the ground during this heat wave. Tourists from China, from Europe, from Australia, walking through the streets of Kuala Lumpur, exploring the night markets of Penang, diving in the waters of Semporna, hiking in the rainforests of Borneo, all while temperatures climbed to 37 degrees. Why would anyone do that? Because Malaysia is worth it. Because the food is unforgettable. Because the people are warm even when the weather is hot. Because the experiences are unmatched anywhere in the world. The heat wave did not stop them. The warnings did not stop them. Nothing could stop them because Malaysia is that good. And here is the truth that the critics will never tell you. The heat wave that claimed 2 lives also revealed something beautiful about Malaysia. It revealed that our government cares about protecting both locals and tourists. It revealed that our tourism industry is resilient enough to withstand external shocks. It revealed that the world still chooses Malaysia even when conditions are not perfect. Compare that to some of our neighbors. When Thailand faced environmental challenges, their tourism numbers suffered. When Vietnam faced infrastructure issues, their growth slowed. But Malaysia? We faced a heat wave and we still grew. That is the difference between a good tourism destination and a great one. I want to pause here and ask you to do something for me. If you are feeling proud of what Malaysia has accomplished, if you are proud that we became the most visited country in Southeast Asia during a crisis, I need you to do two things right now. Number one, hit that subscribe button. Smash it like you are running through the heat to your favorite Malaysian food stall. Because I am covering every major tourism victory that Malaysia achieves this year, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. Number two, comment below. Type in all caps, Malaysia strong. Let me see that Malaysian pride flood the comments. Show the world that no heat wave, no crisis, no challenge can stop us. Now let me close this story with a final thought that I want every Malaysian to carry in their hearts. When the heat wave hit, the world expected Malaysia to struggle. They expected our tourism numbers to fall. They expected us to make excuses. But Malaysia did not fall. Malaysia did not make excuses. Malaysia did something that nobody expected. We turned a crisis into a victory. We took a challenge and made it a triumph. We proved that we are not just another Southeast Asian country. We are Malaysia. We are the most visited country in Southeast Asia. We are the country that beats Thailand, beats Vietnam, beats Singapore, beats Indonesia, even when a heat wave tries to stop us. We are the country that protects its people even in the worst conditions. We are the country that the world chooses, again and again. So the next time someone says Malaysia cannot compete with our neighbors, you tell them this story. You tell them about the heat wave of 2026. You tell them about the 10.6 million tourists who chose us anyway. You tell them about how Malaysia won when nobody expected us to. This is Malaysia. And we are just getting started.